our last little segment here is the 76ers Miami trade. Like, what are you thinking about that? Give us a recap about it.
So you're talking about the 76ers?
Yes.
So the 76ers just got Al Horford. They signed Al Horford from the Celtics. I do like that move. I've always liked Al Horford when he was in Atlanta. I loved him there. So I think that was a great move. They did, and the whole Jimmy Butler to Miami trade, they had to, they got Josh Richardson from Miami, and that whole trade with Jimmy Butler, they had to get rid of. They got rid of Jimmy Butler. He's on Miami now, and Josh Richardson is there. So basically, they lost J.J. Redick also to New Orleans. So you have basically J.J. Redick and Jimmy Butler being replaced by Al Horford and Josh Richardson. So we both disagree on whether they're better or they're worse now. I personally think they're not any better than they were last year, and you disagree.
So, I mean, Al Horford, that signing really sticks out. They also signed, just for news-wise, Tobias Harris to a contract extension, which is a decent extension. I mean, I think it should be good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's aging a little bit. I think he's 33, so he's getting up there in age, but he maybe has a couple more years left. Good for him on the contract. So Al Horford, that signing I really like, okay? So when he was on the Celtics, Al Horford going against Embiid, he shut him down. Embiid had his worst games against Al Horford.
Yep.
So, really? The Celtics aren't a threat to the 76ers anymore, right? And Al Horford was one of the only players that could stop Giannis. Now they took out one of the other bigger threats in the NBA with Giannis. When you have defense like Al Horford going to be on him like that.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't necessarily make them better as a team. It's going to help them against the bigger teams in that division. And hopefully Al Horford's defense can really live up to that hype and to that potential, because they got a steal, and one of the biggest threats was Al Horford. Because when Embiid doesn't play too well, I mean, that team isn't too amazing.
Yeah, I mean, because Ben Simmons doesn't have a jump shot right now. And Joel Embiid has to do a lot of the carrying, so if he's not good, they're not that good either. So, yeah, I agree. Al Horford is a great defender. I think they got better defensively. Jimmy Butler is a great defender too, but I think Al Horford definitely is also. They got a lot bigger and taller. Like, their smallest, Josh Richardson's like, I think 6'8" or something, and then Ben Simmons is like 6'10".
Mm-hmm.
Al Horford 6'10", and Embiid's 7 feet. I mean, they're a big team now with Al Horford. My argument to your thing about Embiid, yes, he shut down Embiid, but Embiid was sick that whole series. He had a respiratory issue or a stomach issue or some kind of issue, and he was not feeling himself that whole series. And so, yeah, well, he shut him down. Try playing with the flu. Try playing in a series with the flu or some bad sickness. Like, I think that had a lot to do with how he played. And, yeah, I give Al Horford credit because he was guarding him. But I think Embiid's sickness and his stomach issues was a bigger deal than Al Horford. So, while I do think Al Horford is a good signing, I don't think that he's the Giannis stopper or whatever you want to call him like that. I think he's a good signing, but I don't think he's going to make the biggest dividends in the end.
I think it wasn't necessarily just the playoffs. It's in the regular season too that he shut him down.
Okay.
So, I mean, personally, that's just how I feel. You have the Raptors, which are, in my opinion, are the biggest threat to the...
well, if Kawhi stays.
If Kawhi stays.
If Kawhi doesn't stay, it's...
And the other thing that's holding back the 76ers would be injuries, because I think Tobias Harris has a little bit of injury issues.
Yeah.
Embiid, of course, has pretty big
injury issues and health issues.
Yeah.
His stomach, like, he had like 2 infections in his stomach, I think, at the same time. And it's like, how's that possible?
So The injuries are going to stop them. And I really, if this team stays healthy, in my opinion, they're the favorites or the second favorites. That's how high I am on the 76ers. And I don't like that team. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think this year the Bucks are gonna be. I think if Kawhi stays in Toronto, they'll be the favorites. But I think the Bucks are gonna be. I think the 76ers will be the favorites going in. But I think as we get a little bit into the regular season, I think the Bucks will kind of do what they did last year and just kind of keep going on an uphill climb. And I think they'll go atop the 76ers.
One smaller point is Dallas signing an extension for Porzingis. Personally, I'm not a fan of it. I believe it was an extension, so that means he still had a year where he could play with Dallas. I would have rather seen Porzingis play with Luka. So before they signed him to such a big deal, they're going into the season when Porzingis hasn't played that much. And there's rape allegations, not that it's going to go anywhere, but just in case it does, got to watch out for that. We don't know how it's going to go down. I would have liked to see another year or at least half a year of Porzingis playing with Luka and that team before they signed it to such a large deal.
I mean, he was going to be brought back for a year anyway. Like, it wasn't like he's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I see your point. I definitely think Porzingis, even if he's not quite the same player he was before the injury, I think you still see his jump in his stats from 2 years ago when he played. He didn't play last year, so 3 years ago and versus 2 years ago, that jump is massive. His points were up by like 5 points. His rebounds were the same. He shot the same from about 40% from three 2 years ago, and then you got his field goal percentage is the same. And I just think I think he's, to be 7'3" and to be able to shoot like he can, I think he's what you want. And he doesn't even play center. He's like a forward. So you can get a center and then have that's your front court. I think with Luka and Porzingis, and they could bring in some other pieces. They were talking about Goran Dragic maybe from the Miami. I don't think that's going to happen anymore, but they have a couple other guys that they can bring in. They just signed Seth Curry today, which is another shooter that they could have around him. I'm not saying Dallas is going to go anywhere. I don't think really they'll even make the playoffs, but I think Porzingis was a good deal. I'm not saying it's kind of a great deal, but I think you have enough from previous years to see what he can do.